Have no fear, winter is here. Changes, face the day, changes. I keep singing and I can't sing. Changing therapists. So my therapist recently announced to me that I would be switched to a different therapist. There are a number of reasons why you may change therapists over time. Some on your half, some on their half, some just falling through the cracks and the process of people coming in and out of jobs, or you coming in and out of therapy. In the past, I have seen a slew of therapists because I have been in and out of treatment sporadically as needed due to lack of insurance. I only came in and out of the system as I came in and out of my healthy state of mind and needed to be put back into the system as problems arose, often in community organizations and volunteer type things, and with interns getting their degrees. And so due to that, I transitioned a lot. At one point, I had good insurance, and I went to a private practice, and I had a separate practice that was psychiatric only and one that was therapeutic only, which was a new situation. I've never had institutions that operated individually. They were always joined together. You got your medication from the same organization that you got your therapy. They did speak amongst themselves thanks to the magic of signing releases, but it was still a bit strange not to have the unified treatment that I think is important in treating an individual. I think it's more helpful to have one place systemically treating the whole individual. And at that particular place, I stopped therapy because there was boundary crossing, and I got sick. Boundary crossing on the therapist's behalf. In the past, I have had transference and countertransference, where there's boundary crossing on both behalves, and became friends with my therapist. Don't. It's really important to keep a therapeutic relationship as a doctor-patient relationship. You should be treated as an equal, versus in a lot of medical disciplines, you may feel like you're treated as less than to this all-knowing wizard. When you are in an appropriate therapeutic dynamic, you are treated with respect, your input is heard, you feel as an equal. But because you are in a situation where you are sharing some of the most intimate things of yourself and of your life, and things that you may never have told another person, the level of equality shared in the context of a therapeutic relationship and the intimacy shared in the therapeutic relationship can create transference and countertransference. And transference is when you project your needs or assumptions or feelings, etc., onto your therapist. Countertransference is when they end up doing that to you. And so I've had situations like that where therapy has ended for those reasons. Therapy can end because you are just not a good match with your therapist. If you feel that you're not getting out of therapy what you need to be getting for your treatment, it's just not, you're just not clicking, because you can't open up if you're not clicking with someone you feel like you can open up with. If you are combative or resistant, you may get sent to a different therapist, because it's like going to a doctor and then refusing to take the medication that they give you, take the advice that they give you, and further being disrespectful to the doctor. These people are qualified professionals. Just because they treat you friendly, just because they treat you with respect and dignity, which should, if you've had mental illness, especially depending on what it is you're facing, it may be a wonderful respite from the rest of the world to be not treated as this awkward misfit, to be treated with dignity, respect, intellect, and like you have something valid and valuable to say, to be heard and understood. And all of these things are important to be had in the therapeutic relationship. If you feel that you're not getting these things enough for you to take your walls down and begin to progress forward, you can go through the proper channels. There are proper channels, and you can ask your therapist about these channels, and if they are a good therapist, they may have already or will willingly explain to you the proper channels to go about getting a new therapist or switching therapist. And they won't take it personal, but remember, these are professionals. They are not your friends. They are your doctors. And if you're being treated with respect and dignity and equality and validation and being heard and understood, and you're on equal footing with a therapist, you can make a lot of good groundwork as long as you keep things in perspective and boundaries. When we get shared intimacy with other people, it's really hard not to cross boundaries, not to begin to let our guard down so much that it feels more friendly than therapeutic. And this can happen on both sides. It's a challenging situation for the therapist as well, to be able to conduct themselves properly. The responsibility is mostly on their shoulders, but you should be treating your therapist with respect and dignity as well. And if you can't do that with your therapist, then you should switch therapists to someone that you can treat with dignity and respect, because they deserve that. And there are proper channels and ways to do that. And if you're not doing that, and you're treatment resistant, you may be switched. But you can also be switched just simply because, and if you run into these issues of transference and countertransference and they're dealt with appropriately, they can give you insight into the way that you operate in larger span of human relations with other people in your life, professionally and personally. It is a microcosm, a little mini playground play of a relationship, exchanging with another person, and where you have shaky boundaries, or where you have misperceptions or projections that you presuppose on other people, or think people are thinking things about you that they're not, or whatever your preset of issues that you didn't know you are at these little crossroads in the therapeutic situation can help uncover some things for you that will be useful for you moving forward. So ineffective therapy, not clicking with your therapist to where you feel safe enough where you can open up, you being resistant or disrespectful, which is not cool. You need to not do that. We treat all other people with respect and dignity. It's not appropriate. And you being treated with respect and dignity. Upholding boundaries. And if transference, countertransference, or boundary issues come up, they are addressed, and they are addressed appropriately. That you know how to go about changing your therapist if you were to wish to do so. That all of these things are covered, or are covered if you ask about them. That things are kept professional, and if they're not, that you switch, or lapses in insurance, and just in and out of the system are all reasons why you might switch therapists. Also, over familiarity. As a person who's been in and out and in and out and in and out and in and out of the system, since I first got sick, near the end of my high school years, with bipolar, that I went to therapy a little bit, bipolar and PTSD at the end of my high school, and then not really anything until I went off to college, near the end of my college when I had my first psychotic episode, and in and out, and in and out of insurance, and off and on medication, and no coherency of care. And a lot of people face that. So a lot of people see a lot of faces in therapy. But you can have a good relationship with your therapist. A good, beneficial, productive, respectful, appropriate, boundaries kept, moving you forward relationship with your therapist that is effective and professional and helping you heal. And they can tell you, I'm gonna switch you. Now this one can come as a shock. It's easy when your insurance lapses and you're like, well, whoa, yes, I'm done with that. Or when the therapist is critical, disrespectful, otherwise crosses boundaries, is ineffective, or just unprofessional, and you need to get out, you're not getting anything out of it. It's easier that way. Or even if you are, which you should not be, I'm going to say it again, we owe everyone dignity and respect, especially people that are trying to help us, to do your best not to be combative or defensive or rude, especially rude and just mean to your therapist. You can always get a different one if you don't like the one you have. You don't need to be mean, but if you're treatment resistant and cruel, you can kind of see that coming when you get switched. But if things are going really well and you've clicked, you have a rapport, they know so much about you, and it's effective and it's appropriate and it's professional and it's everything therapy should be, as far as you can tell from everything you've witnessed beforehand. This is how it's supposed to work. That, out of the blue it seems, they tell you it's time to switch therapy. And this can take you off guard. I think the way that it was handled by my particular therapist is I am now going into a new year. I will be going to a new therapist. It's about the most effective that it could have possibly been handled. He warned me that it was going to happen. He gave me time to process that. Explained thoroughly why, over familiarity, that we were reaching a point where things had hit a wall, where I wasn't really making progress, where a new set of eyes, a new set of ears, a new perspective may be beneficial for me. And it was the right, it was the right medical, professional decision at this juncture, in his opinion, to switch me to someone else, that I had done nothing wrong, quite to the contrary, that I had actually made progress, pointed out where I had made progress, and explained the rationale behind it, which made sense to me. and there will be a period of transition where I will be working with him and my new therapist. So it's not just like, you tell your whole life story to this person for however many years, and then you got to start all over regurgitating. They don't know you from Adam except for some scratched therapy notes that might have been swapped around, and you got to share everything all over again. You don't even know where to start. You feel like you've made progress, and now you've got to fill in the backstory again. And it's going to be a transitional handoff so that we're already in progress of something before I transferred to the new therapist. And it's a long enough period of time for me to continue to process the notion of a new therapist. Remember, your therapist can actually like you as a human, just like your doctor can like you as a human. They're not your friend. They're not supposed to be there forever. They've done their best work if they've worked you right out of therapy. Depending on your illness, you may need periodic therapy forever, but if they work you right out of therapy, they've done their job. If you don't need them anymore, because they're there to help you to help yourself. They're professionals. You only see your doctor when you're sick. You don't see your doctor to have coffee and hang out. And when you've resolved the problems within the scope of your doctor, or you reach a plateau in your medical illness where they're scratching their heads and they've run out of answers, they don't know what to look at or what to look for or what to advise you on anymore. They would refer you out to someone else to get a new look at your symptoms and give you new guidance. It doesn't mean anything negative about you. It doesn't need to be taken negatively. And it doesn't mean a negative thing. Change is to be expected. You have to be open to it and know going in that if it isn't a good match, first give the person a chance. If you are in a good therapeutic relationship and you are notified that you're going to be transferred, and this seems like a shock because it was working and it was effective and good for you, and you're not being transferred because you're a difficult patient or resistant or they were doing anything wrong or you were doing anything wrong, where it's not really a shock that things were changing, or an insurance issue or anything. If things were going right and it's still getting changed, don't take it personally. Ask plenty of questions so that you're sure that you understand thoroughly why, what was the intention, what is the benefit, what is the medical intent behind the decision, and preferably your therapist will take the approach mine is, where they give you plenty of warning, they do joint sessions, and then put you with the new person, so you have plenty of time to wrap your mind around the transition, and you're fine. You don't have any personal feelings. You take it as going to a medical doctor who has reached their plateau with your symptoms and needs to refer you out to a new set of ears and a new set of eyes and a new perspective to continue to move you forward. And that's not a bad thing. That's the right thing to be doing. And give the new person a chance before you draw your conclusions. Just like a new relationship, because there is some level of intimacy when you opened up yourself to a therapist for a long time. It's like losing a best friend or a relationship partner that the next person feels like a rebound. You're just like reiterating yourself, or there's a detachment, or you're noticing how they're not the other person and so you're critical. Don't be that way. Remember, this is clinical. These are not friends. But they do have your best interest at heart. So give the person a chance, get a feel for them, get used to them before you draw any conclusions whether they're going to be effective. But remember, if you are switched and you give the person a fair enough chance and they do turn out to be ineffective, for you particularly just not a good match, you don't have to stay with that individual. You can change therapists again, and maybe you'll have more rapport with the next person. And there's a proper way to do that, going through the proper channels. And it would be really nice of you to explain to your therapist that you recently got, why you feel that you need to make this switch versus just disappearing on them. Because it doesn't help them to help the next person if they don't see your side of what you feel didn't work out for you with them. Every patient that they treat helps them learn, just like doctors working with medical conditions. Every case they treat helps them learn. So be open with the therapist as well about why you might be leaving, and switch to a different therapist until you find a new fit. Life carries on, therapy carries on. They're not forever friends. They're doctors, and you may forever appreciate what they have done for you, depending on if they were appropriate, good therapists or not. And I've had some of both, but they're not meant to be there forever. Keep your boundaries and your perspective in check. Don't take it personal. Give the new person a chance. Ask lots of questions. Embrace change. And realize that you still hold the power. If you're not being thrown away. You're not bad or wrong. And if you don't fit with the new person after being objective, not critical and quick to conclusions, the power is within your hands to change to a new therapist. And no, you're not going to change back to your old therapist. That's not how it works. You left for a reason. You were discharged from them for a reason, for your own good health. Boundaries are really important in life. Boundaries are one of the main things you learn in therapy. Communication and boundaries. So understanding how to stick up for yourself, ask lots of questions, ask the answers, how to switch therapists if you need to, how to be confident enough to do that, to speak your mind and to find out what's going on, and to not take personal transferences, and to demand to be treated with respect and not have boundaries crossed, and to be able to move around with confidence, safety, security, competency, and letting go in the therapeutic dynamic is part of the benefits you get out of therapy, because you can take these skills with you onward. So if you are going to switch therapists, or you were switched and you're wondering why, what did I do wrong? Did you ask? You probably still could. You probably could contact them and have a conversation. Find out if you did something wrong, or if there was some reason why you were switched. That would be to your benefit going forward in the future. Even if that was that you were resistant and they couldn't help you because you resisted everything they tried to help you with. Or you could be pleasantly surprised and find out that you're doing everything right and they just ran out of help for you because they got too familiar. You never know unless you ask. If you're in an unhealthy therapeutic relationship where you're now friends with your therapist, you're out meeting outside the office or contacting outside the office, or boundaries have been crossed, things that are inappropriate, there are channels that you can go to. And if you're afraid because you don't want to ask your therapist, you don't know who to ask, go call the center directly that you're working with and ask to speak to whoever is above your therapist, and they will deal with it. You have, especially in therapy, you are supposed to be safe, so you have the right to demand that. And when you get a new therapist, give them a chance. It's not a new boyfriend or girlfriend. It's not a rebound. It's not a new best friend. It's just like your doctor giving you a referral to a new set of eyes and ears. They have just the same intentions to give you the best care possible that they possibly can as your last therapist did. You just got to give them a chance. And again, if it doesn't fit, you still hold the power to switch, but give them an appropriate chance and treat them with respect. These are my thoughts on swapping therapists. I'm curious what new aspects of me will be stirred by a new pair of hands in my brain.